Hunting, a controversial subject to most, but a lifestyle for many others. The ramifications of hunting spread far and wide throughout the earth, from the cornfields of the Midwestern United States to the plains of Africa. However, the practice is utilized for different purposes in each place one may look. In the Midwest, deer are shot for population control. In Africa, endangered species are killed in the name of conservation. Whatever one's reason for the activity may be, hunting holds a stable position in society which continues to captivate audiences and invoke avid discussions.
In North America, hunting is one tool employed to reduce the number of white-tailed deer. These deer have quickly taken over the environments they were reintroduced to in the 20th century. The deer became alarmingly close to extinction in the early to mid-20th century, but now their reintroduction has become more successful than ever imagined, and even too much so. These deer overgraze forests, which leads to the decrease in populations of other native organisms such as flowers and birds, thus harming the critical biodiversity within American habitats. Tom Nance, a local Greenfield hunter, comments on the usefulness of hunting to curb populations of certain animals and why he himself hunts.
I'm an equal opportunist hunter. I hunt for meat. I hunt coyotes because they're a nuisance and problems, and they kill fawns every year. They kill a lot of deer. Turkeys taste good, really good. Deer, like I said, we have a certain on bucks. You have to mount what you kill, so you're not going to shoot. You're not going to kill a little buck. So does, like I said, will shoot whatever.
While the benefits of hunting are clear-cut within the forests of the United States, the lines are much more blurred when it comes to trophy hunting and hunting labeled as conservation in places with many endangered species such as Africa. The act of hunting species to save them from themselves can be quite specious at times, especially when that species is already endangered. Daryl Kunkel, a civil engineer and avid hunter, speaks on how to hunt responsibly and maintain your moral obligation to the environment.
As far as the morality of hunting, I don't see that if you're hunting and you eat the food that you harvest, then for me there is no morality issue, because any meat that you eat, it came from an animal that had to die. I think people don't really think about that. They go to the grocery store and they pick up their package of ground beef or their steaks and whatnot, but it's all those were living animals that had to die so that you could have meat. So for me there is no difference in that and me going into the woods and taking an animal to eat.
Daryl relishes talking about his hunting and is very vocal about his thoughts on trophy hunting. When sharing about his hobby, he makes a point to tell people that he is not solely a trophy hunter.
I'm not a trophy hunter. That's not my only reason for hunting, is to get a trophy. If I get a nice deer, though, a nice buck, I have done taxidermy just to preserve the deer in the memory.
And when it comes to trophy hunting the so-called Big Five, elephants, lions, leopards, rhinos, and Cape buffalo, he has even stronger opinions.
I don't condone any trophy hunting just for the sake of having a trophy to put on your wall or put in your den or whatever. The only hunting that I'm not supportive of is the trophy hunting where hunters that go to, say, Africa and hunt lions or some other animal that's not donated.
Becoming a hunter is not as easy of a task as it used to be. Hunters such as Tom and Daryl had to acquire many tags and licenses to be able to hunt the way they do.
In the United States, hunting tags are sold through state wildlife agencies in order to shoot specific animals. For deer, getting a tag is relatively simple, but for more trophy-esque animals, it gets somewhat difficult. Since big game animals are less abundant and killing them is not going to help their populations, buying a tag becomes less of a direct seller situation and more of a lottery. For example, say you put in $20 to buy a tag to hunt a moose. You may get that tag the next day, it may take years to procure, or you may never get it at all. However, there is a bypass to the lottery. Throughout the country, hunting conventions are held where guns, traps, and even large game hunting tags, named conservation tags because they are set aside to raise money for conservation, are sold. Only, these tags will not just be $20. At these conventions, the right to shoot these animals have sold for upwards of $300,000 per animal. Through this system, millions of dollars are raised every year for conservation, and for the most part, the tags sold belong to populations that are stable enough to lose a few members. But there are a few that stray from this norm. The aforementioned tag that sold for over $300,000 handed over the rights to shoot a black rhino, which is a critically endangered species. Now, there is some reason behind this. When black rhinos get older, typically past reproducing age, they get aggressive and often want to attack other rhinos. In Namibia, there was actually a case where a young male and an older male were fighting over a young female. The older male, which could not reproduce, ended up killing the younger male in the fight and the female when attempting to mate, a situation where one could have died to spare two others. In a sense, shooting endangered species can protect the species as a whole if the problematic individuals are taken away from the population. But not everyone agrees with this mindset. Dr. Richard E. Leakey, a Kenyan conservationist and the former director of the Kenyan Wildlife Conservation Department, has fought against this system, claiming even a slight allowance of trophy hunting sends the wrong message to the public, especially with how prevalent poaching is in Africa. Rhino horn goes for about $60,000 a pound, and ivory can go for similar rates. As a protest to the method of killing animals to save them, in 1989 the Kenyan government collected 12 tons of elephant tusks, and instead of selling them and funneling the money into conservation, burned the tusks in a brilliant 20-foot tall pile, a show that was orchestrated by Dr. Leakey. Trophy hunting in its many forms can act as a method of conservation, funding, or destruction. In any sense, there is always an outcry against the act with a message that may be specious in its intentions.
From population control to trophy hunting, there is no doubt that hunting has gained an audience during its time in society. But whether it is filled with a majority cheering fans or outspoken naysayers is a question yet to be answered. Equal opportunist hunting will always have positives, such as the population control and conservation in areas similar to the United States, but trophy hunting has been given a plethora of animosity in recent years. Acts such as the burning of the tusks has led to the re-evaluation of the sport, causing the discussion surrounding it to escalate, putting the future of hunting, especially concerning the morality behind it, into an uncertain light.